You know the old saying, when it rains, it pours. Keep it high, keep it tight. It's Shea Mercer, review guy, back to bring you another 5-minute review. And boy, that term, that saying is extremely valid for the current situation I find myself in regarding the album that we are going to be talking about today. So I recently reviewed the new Jonathan Davis album, Black Labyrinth, and I was not a fan of that album. I did not like it whatsoever. There wasn't really any redeeming qualities about it, and it was a massive dud. And I in my own mind was thinking that that could be one of the biggest disappointments of the year. I was wrong. So today, of course, we are talking about Prequelle by the Swedish heavy metal slash rock band Ghost. And this is an album that is going to be so polarizing and is already shaping up to be one of the most polarizing albums of the year. But I am not on the fence at all. I am not having any issues with my consensus where this album is concerned. This album to me is by far the weakest release of the year and the most disappointing release of the year. So if you know anything about Ghost, which, if you are into rock or heavy metal or just mainstream rock in general, chances are you've heard of the name Ghost. They are a Swedish band that started off very strong with this extremely unique, stylistic, just the way they carried themselves, their lyricism, the way their albums were designed and constructed, and everything in between. It was like if you took the ideology of Slayer and mashed it together with the kind of stylistic markings of black metal, but didn't have black metal or thrash metal, you would get Ghost. I mean, they won a Grammy. They won a Grammy for the song, I believe, Circe, is that how you say it, off of the album Meliora. And Meliora was an album that I was personally a fan of. I didn't review it because I wasn't doing reviews at the time, but maybe eventually. But I have to say that it was a pretty good album. It wasn't necessarily my biggest cup of tea, but I could definitely understand the hype and where people were coming from, saying that this was an album that you got to check out. It's amazing. It's high tier. It's high quality. It's a high caliber and echelon. And so I checked it out, and I had to admit that it was a good album. And this was a band that was receiving so much traction and so much major attention from news outlets, from rock outlets, from metal outlets. They were performing big shows in multiple different countries and multiple different continents. And I have to say that Prequelle threw that all down the drain in my mind. And in the eyes of a lot of other people, it's a stinker. So 41 minutes in length, 10 tracks. This album from start to finish was the most boring album I have heard in an extremely long time. Any diversity and any type of eclectic experimentation that was performed on previous albums that this band put out was completely tossed to the wayside for Prequelle, because this is a boring album that doesn't really play to the strengths of any of the members, with boring instrumentation, vocal styles that have been done so many times that it's almost unbearably just boring to listen to, lyricism that is nothing we haven't heard from before from the band, and overall is just one of the most disappointing albums that I have heard in such a long time. From track to track, I was just hoping. From the second I heard the opening track, if you're not counting Ashes, which is like the opening track, which is an instrumental, I was so hoping after Rats, which is the second song, but the first official song with vocals, that something was going to happen and there was going to be songs where it picked up the pace, but it just didn't. And I really didn't like this album. I'm going to give it a 3 out of 10, the lowest score that this channel has ever given out to an album. But I really just did not enjoy this album whatsoever. But I'd love to hear what you guys think about the album. Comment down below. And until next time, this has been Jamer's Review Guy, and I'm signing off saying farewell. By the way, before we stop the video, which is kind of something that I wanted to tell you guys, is I'm kind of considering doing a little bit of something that I'm wanting to deem as like a list week, where I'm going to be doing like top 10 lists about band stuff or breaking stuff down. Would you guys like to see that? Because I feel like that could be pretty interesting to do. and this was a shorter 5-minute review, so I kind of wanted to put this in somewhere in the end of the video, and this saves me from having to make it its own video, and I don't want to do that if I don't have to, because I don't care about the views. That's not important to me. I'm just I didn't want to make a full video by itself, so I want to go ahead and do this for you guys and just tell you what would be your thoughts if I did a kind of list week where I did top 10 lists, maybe fan chosen or maybe my own chosen, because I have a lot of lists that I want to do, but at the same token I'm kind of like, what lists am I going to choose, because I have so many in my mind. What am I going to end up doing? So please give me your thoughts of that. I'd love to hear just your opinion on that, if you'd like to see that, if you wouldn't, why, whatever. And yeah, so I'll talk to you guys next time. GMgaming Free Guy saying farewell.
Oh no, what your mama gonna say when I tell her that I broke no heart? It's just things not the way that they used to be. Oh no, now you crying on the bathroom floor, and I guess it's the end.